Today's lesson is the vinyl revival, giving records another spin. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're talking about records, not world records like running the 100 meters in under 8 seconds or something like that. We're talking about records that you can listen to music on, and they are made from vinyl. So when you see the word vinyl, you know you're talking about the old record albums.
The big black discs that you put on a special thing called a record player, and using the magic of kind of old technology, really. You put a needle on the record spins, the needle picks up vibrations and turns that into wonderful sound that many fans of vinyl records will argue to the death is better than digital sound, better than anything from a CD, and certainly better than anything that comes streaming through on your computer. And of course, vinyl records have collectability that other forms of music don't have. So if you love music, if the quality of the sound is important, if you like collecting things and digging through boxes of records in old stores, then vinyl is for you. As a convenient system of getting music, I don't think anyone would argue it's convenient. It's about more than that. So think of vinyl as fine cooking and streaming services as getting food from the convenience store. They'll both get food in your belly, but one will take a lot more effort, but maybe offer a bit more reward for the real fan.
Yep, it's a fad these days to listen to music on those records. It's all about the vinyl revival, and we're giving records another spin. Let's find out what this is all about. Let's listen to the first part right now.
The vinyl revival, giving records another spin. It wasn't so long ago that vinyl records were the leading medium for recorded music. First invented in the 1880s, vinyl overtook phonograph cylinders as the most popular format around 1910, dominating the market for the next 60 years. But just as records had beaten out cylinders decades before, the emergence of CDs in the 1980s quickly made it seem like vinyl's days were numbered, with record sales sinking like a stone from their high.
大家好，第一部分我们来看到标题中的 revival， 它是名词，表示复兴、复苏或是重新流行。例如 It is believed that the new arena will help push the revival of the city. 新的运动场被认为将有助于推动城市的复兴。又或者说 This style of music was out of fashion for many years, but has recently gone through a revival. 这种音乐风格已经过时了很多年，但最近又重新流行起来。接下来介绍动词 overtake， 意思是超越或是赶上。例如 Esther overtook the runner ahead of her and won the race. Esther 超越了她前面的跑者，并赢得了比赛。再来是名词 format， 它有格式或是形式的意思。例如 Make sure the report is in the right format before you give it to the boss. 在将报告交给老板之前，请确保报告的格式正确。或者 Keeping an eye on document formats all the time is troublesome to Matthew, so he doesn't like doing paperwork. 一直关注文件格式对 Matthew 来说很麻烦，所以他不喜欢做文书工作。下一个是 emergence， 这个名词的意思是出现或是兴起。例如 There's more competition now because of the emergence of smaller factories. 由于小型工厂的出现，现在竞争变得更加激烈。
Okay, so we're back to the title here. First of all, a revival means something has been given life again. Now, vinyl records were very popular, ever since the 1930s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and then in the 80s, CDs started to take over. But, of course, I'm old enough to remember vinyl records. I had quite a large record collection myself, and, now I'm kind of regretting that I gave all those records away to thrift stores because I thought they weren't worth anything anymore. It turns out they might be collector's items. But we're giving records another spin. That's kind of interesting because a record will spin on the record player or on the turntable, and that's how it produces music. When you put the stylus on that record, then you can listen to it through your stereo.
It also, of course, means to give records another try. This kind of idea being that this technology was old, it was sort of abandoned. You know, the world moved on with CDs and digital music, but now records are coming back. So music fans, younger music fans especially, are giving records another try, another spin by both buying them and listening to them. So let's look at the article. It begins, "It wasn't so long ago that vinyl records were the leading medium for recorded music." Absolutely. As Roger explained, vinyl records were popular for 50, 60, 70 years. They were definitely the main way that people got recorded music, or the main way that they listened to recorded music. And that's why we use that word medium. Now, a lot of you might look at medium and go like small, medium, large, like my French fries or my soft drink. Well, yes, we could use medium as a size. We also, though, can use it as talking about how we do something. There might be many different ways to listen to music, to record music. We can put it on CD. We can have those old tapes like we used to carry around in the 1980s, or put in your Walkman for people who are old enough. And then, of course, there's records, which is another medium. We can record music using old-style tape. We can record music onto a hard drive using a computer. Another time we often use medium is talking about different types of art. You could say, I'm a painter, but what kind of paint do you use? Do you use watercolor, oil color, acrylics? Do you make your art with wood or stone or plastic or glass? These are different types of medium, or media when we would use it as a plural. So basically, this was the leading method or way that people recorded music and the material that they used to record the music. So it used to be the main way that people would buy, sell, and record music using vinyl records.
Yep, if somebody came out with a new album, you went to buy the record at the record store, and it was really cool because it was really big, it had a great cover, and maybe it included the lyrics inside and other goodies. And first invented in the 1880s, vinyl overtook phonograph cylinders as the most popular format around 1910, dominating the market for the next 60 years. A cylinder, of course, is the shape of something, and you took those cylinders and put them on a special player, and I think the recordings on them were mono, of course. They weren't in stereo, and the songs were maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. They weren't very long, and of course you needed one cylinder for one song. If something overtakes something, it passes it. It goes faster, and it's in the lead, and vinyl just became more popular than those cylinders after 1910. And phonograph just means having to do with a system of machines or equipment that reproduces music for you to listen to.
Exactly. Sound writing, I believe, are those words from the Greek. So we're writing sound, we're recording sound. And yeah, when we think of Thomas Edison recording the first sound, right, I think he's saying Mary Had a Little Lamb. That was on one of these phonograph cylinders. They were very fragile and easily broken, though. That was one of the problems with it. That's why the flat, round records, vinyl records, became much more popular around 1910. This format became the most popular. Here, format and medium are fairly similar. It's just a way of getting something. There are many different formats that you can enjoy a movie on. You can get it on Blu-ray, on DVD, on 4K DVD. You can download it as a file on your computer. Again, it's sort of a way of getting entertainment, of getting written material or recorded material and passing it around, making it accessible to people. So vinyl records became the most popular format just before World War I, 1910, and dominated the market for the next 60 years. That was the main way that people bought, sold, and enjoyed music for around 60 years, from 1910 to the 70s, the vinyl record. If something dominates, it is much bigger, more common, more powerful. It is the biggest of the bunch.
Okay, but just as records had beaten out cylinders decades before, the emergence of CDs, or compact discs, in the 1980s quickly made it seem like vinyl's days were numbered, with record sales sinking like a stone from their high. So if you look at charts from that period of time, you can tell that album sales dropped off and CDs overtook them rather quickly. And we're talking about just as records had beaten out the cylinders, or just like what happened to cylinders, we have the CDs that took over from vinyl in the 1980s. So we're talking about the emergence of CDs. The emergence here just refers to when something shows up, when you can start to see it. That's from the verb to emerge. I could say, hey, the submarine emerged from the ocean, and we could all see it there in the harbor. It was the Germans, and they were going to attack our city. Oh, no, help, we're in trouble. But in this particular case, we're talking about the emergence of CDs, or the popularity, the quick rise of CDs in the 1980s, although I did not get my first CD player until actually the 1990s.
Ah, okay. I think they were very expensive, the players in the 1980s, definitely. But they really caught on and became very popular. CDs were smaller. They didn't scratch or get damaged as easily. You could play them in your car, unlike vinyl records. So a lot of this showed that vinyl's days were numbered. When something or someone's days are numbered, the end is not now, but the end is coming soon, and it's pretty clear that that's what's going to happen. So a lot of scientists would say that our days are numbered on the planet Earth if we can't control global warming. Without scientific help, the pandas' days could be numbered, right? Pandas are running out of their environment, they're running out of places to live and food, so things are going to end, maybe not now, but in the future, not too far in the future, and this doesn't feel like something that we can change very much. So the end is coming. And so, yeah, vinyl's days were numbered as CDs caught on. Everyone started to sell their records and replace everything with CDs. So record sales sank like a stone from their high. At that time, they were sinking like a stone from that high. They were dropping off very, very quickly. The number of records sold in 1990 versus 1997, for example, would have been many thousands in 1990, but just a few thousand maybe in 1997. From their high, from the highest point, from their biggest sales years, record sales dropped off very, very quickly as CD sales grew very, very quickly.
Right, so to sink just means to go down in the water to the bottom of the body of water really quickly, and a stone, of course, will sink very fast. Just like the Titanic sunk or sank, it sank to the bottom of the ocean like a stone. It went down there really, really quickly. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Here comes the second part.
But a strange thing happened on the way to vinyl's funeral. Just when it seemed ready to pass into history, vinyl started making a comeback. Beginning in 2007, sales of vinyl records saw a modest increase that has been followed by further increases every year since, and recently, those gains have mainly been driven by younger listeners.
第二部分先介绍片语 make 或是 stage a comeback， 它有卷土重来或是东山再起的意思。举例来说， The baseball player has recovered from his injury and is hoping to make a comeback. 那位棒球选手的伤势已经复原，并渴望恢复昔日水准。又或者说， The actress took several years off after her wedding, but she is now preparing to stage a comeback with her new film. 那位女演员在婚礼后息影了几年，但她现在正准备以新电影东山再起。接下来我们看到形容词 modest， 表示不太大的、不多的或是适中的。可以说 Jenny has a modest apartment in the city. Jenny 在城市里有间小公寓。又或者说 Steve expects to make only modest earnings during his first year in business. Steve 期待第一年生意只要小赚就好。
Okay, so in the second part it says, but a strange thing happened on the way to vinyl's funeral. A funeral, of course, is a ceremony in which we say goodbye to the dead. If your grandparents die, of course, you'll probably have to go to their funeral, and funerals take place in the funeral parlors here in Taiwan. But a strange thing happened on the way to their funeral. Of course, records did not have an actual funeral, but we're talking about the disappearance of records. Something actually happened before they totally disappeared.
Very interesting. So there's a twist in our story. Records didn't just go away like tapes did or, like black and white television did. No, something happened. Just when it seemed ready to pass into history, vinyl started making a comeback. So just when it seemed ready to go into history, to be only found in museums where kids would go, Daddy, what's that black circle? Because they have no idea. They've never seen these before. No, vinyl started making a comeback. Before it had died off and, become extinct, it had a sudden rebirth, a new burst of life. It started making a comeback. In other words, music fans started to buy records again. Beginning in 2007, sales of vinyl records saw a modest increase that has been followed by further increases every year since. And recently, those gains have mainly been driven by younger listeners. So there you go. There's life in the old record even now. So this was a modest increase that sort of started to appear in 2007. People started to buy a few more records. It wasn't suddenly like 10 million records were being sold, just like back in 1971. It wasn't quite that big. It was a modest increase. Modest here is not sort of talking about yourself in a non-prideful way, right? If someone is modest, you say, oh, he's great, he's wonderful, he won all the prizes, but he says, oh, no, I'm just trying my best, and lots of other people are better than me, really. You're being modest there. No, in this case, when we say modest sales or modest increases, generally means small, enough to be noticed, but not a huge amount. It's not shocking or anything, but it's definitely there. There were definitely more records being sold, and that was kind of unusual. And then year after year, there were further increases every year. More and more records were being sold. And here's the interesting part, and I guess the positive part. Those gains, those increases in the sales of vinyl have mainly been driven by younger listeners. Here we're using drive to say they are the main force behind it. Not like driving a car, like an idea is driven by a certain people or a group who really believe in it. They're the ones giving it motivation, making it happen. So that's interesting. You might expect, older folks to buy records and they remember their days back in high school when they were kids, but it's not the case with vinyl. It's not just the oldsters that are buying it. It's the youngsters as well. So kids are going out and they're buying new Taylor Swift albums on vinyl instead of choosing just to get it off the cloud and streaming it and downloading it.
Interesting. Yeah, you would probably expect baby boomers to want to find albums of, old Iron Butterfly albums or the Peanut Butter Conspiracy or the 13th Floor Elevators or bands like that. But no, it's been young people, as you said, trying to listen to Taylor Swift on a turntable. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Here comes the third part.
So what accounts for this renewed popularity, especially among younger generations of music fans? Interestingly, it appears that vinyl's revival may be partly due to the various digital music options that have largely destroyed the market for CDs. In an era dominated by digital downloads and streaming services, the physical nature of vinyl offers young fans a unique connection to music in comparison.
第三部分来看到 account for something 这个片语，意思是导致或是造成点点点的原因。例如 Tony's family emergency accounts for his absence today. Tony 家里有急事，导致他今天缺席。或是 A discarded cigarette butt accounted for fire in this building. 一个被丢弃的烟蒂是造成这栋大楼起火的原因。最后一样是片语 by 或是 in comparison， 表示相较之下。我们可以说 Philip's basketball skills are excellent, but his brothers are even better in comparison. Philip 的篮球球技非常出色，但相较之下，他哥哥的更好。也可以说 By comparison with other competitors, Sophia's work is more delicate. 与其他竞争对手相比， Sophia 的作品更加精致。
So we got a question here. So what accounts for this renewed popularity, especially among younger generations of music fans? So what accounts for? Basically, why do we have this renewed popularity? Why have these records become popular again, especially for younger generations of music fans and not the old baby boomers from generations past?
Yeah, what explains this new boom? Interestingly, it appears that vinyl's revival may be partly due to the various digital music options that have largely destroyed the market for CDs. So the thing that was bad for the CD might actually be good for the vinyl record. We'll get into exactly why, but that seems to be the case. I guess as people are getting more of their music through these various digital music options, either streaming it from a service like Spotify, downloading individual songs or albums like Apple Music, just listening to music using YouTube just to play the videos or to play the albums. Instead of doing it that way, people want something a little more real, I guess, but also not quite as new as CDs. They want to go back a little bit, back to the era of their parents or even grandparents at this age, the era of vinyl, because I guess young people, like, people who want things a little bit different always do, feel that the common way, the simple way that everyone else is doing it now, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it in a slightly more unique and interesting way, and collecting vinyl seems to be the answer to that interest.
Right, so in an era dominated by digital downloads and streaming services, the physical nature of vinyl offers young fans a unique connection to music in comparison. So yes, of course, most people get their music from the internet. We've got digital downloads and streaming services, but the vinyl record offers this physical nature or this physical sensation. You can actually feel the record. You can see it spinning on the turntable. I can relate to that. It's kind of cool. The music is actually moving as it is produced. It's not coming from a data bank or something like that. So yes, you get this unique connection to the music, at least in comparison to those digital downloads. In comparison means just when you compare the two, when you look at them and point out their differences and their similarities. Okay, we're at the end of our explanation for today. Let's listen now to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分最后一句提到 The emergence of CDs in the 1980s quickly made it seem like vinyl's days were numbered, with record sales sinking like a stone from their high. 1980年代雷射唱片的出现，迅速使黑胶唱片的日子似乎屈指可数，唱片销量从巅峰时期一路下滑。好，那这边有几个重点要注意。第一个，他写到 Vinyl's days were numbered. 当我们用 somebody's days 或者是 something's days are numbered, 这是表达某人事物即将死亡、失败或者是终结。那么 number 在这边是当动词，它有计算啊、数数的意思。那这个用法就是用字面意思什么什么的日子屈指可数，来表达说什么什么的时日无多，什么什么的气数将近。也可以把它写作 The days of somebody or something are numbered. 好，那我们造个例句。In his opinion, the days of paper books are numbered. 他认为啊，纸本书的时日可能不多了，可能很快就被淘汰了。第二个补充的是 sink like a stone, 字面意思是像石头一样下沉，它可以用来比喻事物急速下沉、迅速失败。举例来说 Her second album sank like a stone.意思就是说他的第二张专辑彻底失败。好，那第三个要注意的重点就是文中他用到 with record sales sinking like a stone from their high 来描述说唱片销量从巅峰时期一路下滑。这边用到的结构是 with加受词加受词补语，那这样的句型是用来附带说明主要子句的状况。那受词后面的受词补语我们可以用分词、形容词或者是介系词片语。如果是用分词当这个受词补语的话，我们就可以从受词跟受词补语的关系去判断。主动关系是用现在分词 VING， 被动关系是用过去分词 PP。那我们看三个例句。第一个例句是 It's bad manners to talk with your mouth full. 满嘴食物还说话是不礼貌的。那这时候受词是 your mouth， 那么受词补语是 full 这个形容词来描述嘴巴满满的食物的那种状态。第二个例句是 She couldn't concentrate with the kids running around. 孩子们跑来跑去，她没办法专注。那孩子们会自己主动跑来跑去嘛？所以这个受词跟受词补语关系是主动，所以我们是用现在分词当补语。第三个例句是 With our bags packed.We're ready to hit the road. 我们的包包打包好了，准备要出发了。那么背包是被打包的，这个受词跟受词补语关系是被动，所以我们这边是用过去分词 packed 来当补语。好，那以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Medium. Television can serve as a powerful medium for spreading specific political views. Overtake.The singer's hit song was finally overtaken by a new song on the pop music chart. Format. When you finish the report, please send it to me in the file format I requested. Dominate. With all our great new players, I think our team will dominate the competition this year. Emergence. The emergence of new technologies is continuing to transform the film industry. Funeral.The closing of the factory was effectively a funeral for the once booming industry in the town. Modest. Terry comes from a small town with a modest population of only a few thousand people. Era. The rise of the internet likely marked the beginning of a new era. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.